Hey, what's going on, Hercules? Or Perry. I like to call you Perry for your full name. But hey, man, thanks for coming by and sharing your. Not so you say you don't have a ghost story, right? You say you have a UFO story.
That's right. I don't think I have a ghost story, but
No.
And the UFO story, I guess it's not as exciting as it could be. I wasn't abducted. I wasn't probed. None of that. But
That's good to hear.
I remember. So it was in October of 2011. So about exactly 8 years ago now.
Right.
I was over by my parents' house.
Where was this?
It's in Chicago by North and Harlem.
Okay.
Like by Oak Park, actually.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the backyard. Just it's like late. Like I don't know. I just like to be out late and stay up late. So I was just like sitting there, and when I look up, I just see this like orange light, like bright orange light, like in the distance. It's like, is that a star or something? And it just like comes closer and closer. And I just look and say, what is this thing? And it's just like coming closer, and then it's like going over me or something, and I'm like freaking out. So I sort of like, I was seriously kind of a little scared. So I run to the garage, and then I like see it going off in the distance. So I don't know. So it didn't. It did, like I said, it didn't abduct me or anything. That's good.
Yeah. So what was it? Was it round, or was it like, did it make noise? Or?
No, it didn't make any noise, but it was round, like bright orange. So I don't know if it was some kind of. It didn't look like a meteor. It didn't look like a star or anything. It looked. I guess it didn't look like a. It wasn't a plane.
Uh-huh.
Like I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was some kind of lightning thing or something.
How low was it to the ground?
It was. To me, it looked about the same. Like it was a plane about that height.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was like, in the galaxy or whatever. It didn't look like it was
right.
over the stars. It looked like it was close by. It was in the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know. And the funny thing is, like about a couple days later, it's a funny little end to the story. I don't think the two are related, but maybe they are. I found a kitten outside, and I still have him. His name's Flippy. So I like the joke that the UFOs dropped him off, and he's all black, so he's appropriate for Halloween.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah,
so when it was coming down, did it come down slow, or did it come down fast?
Yeah, it was
was it moving at a different speed every time you saw it?
No, it was like pretty slow. It was kind of.
So it couldn't have been a meteor or anything like that.
Yeah,
they move fast.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that thing where like a shooting star or meteor that would have, was like zoomed across the sky. This was like sort of even like slower than a plane. Even it was just like tracking along, and it didn't zigzag at all. Really, it was kind of in a straight line, but it was just like like this thing just floating there and like
really?
Slow. So I don't.
What time of night do you think it was?
Probably 2 or 3 in the morning.
2 or 3 in the morning.
Yeah, it was late. So, I don't know if anyone else saw it. I remember that supposedly there was like a UFO incident around O'Hare like a few years back. I don't remember all the details of it, but no one ever had pictures of that, so I don't know if it was if it looks similar.
I think I want to say I do remember that when there was a couple of nights where people were saying they had seen stuff.
Right. So who knows? Maybe I haven't seen it since. So I guess they weren't after me. But.
Yeah. Well, they left the cat with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So keeping an eye.
Yeah. So he's keeping it. I think like in Men in Black there was a cat or something. It was like watching.
Yeah, it was. They had the little.
Oh yeah. He had a galaxy on his neck.
Thanks for stopping by and joining. I know I've been bugging everybody for Halloween stories, so thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can have you back on, man, so we could talk about all the other stuff, all the other cool stuff you've done in your life. And,
the life of the lawyer.
Now you're a lawyer.
Yeah, closings, real estate, taxes. All that fun stuff. Zoning, all that fun stuff. So.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Perry. Thank you.
All right, welcome.
And we're
Okay.
Ethan, how are you?
Good. How are you?
We usually drink, but it's early in the day still. So
I have Thai tea.
So we'll just drink tea now. Hey, so thanks for coming. We always exchange really cool, I think really cool ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to have you on so we could exchange a couple for Halloween and have people listen to them and, you know, just have a Halloween
Yes.
edition special.
Festive.
Yes. So let's start with you because you always have good ones. So I don't know if you put this one on your list, but I want you to tell the ghost story about the little girl, the picture that I used to have that you had of the little girl in the hospital in Joliet.
Yeah. So the background to that was I had a coworker, also a nurse, and she mentioned that she needs to work at Silver Cross Hospital. And so this was the time when they were remodeling and they built the new Silver Cross Hospital. And so the old one, custodians and maintenance crew were still over there maintaining and cleaning it. And so I think a lot of the staff would oftentimes hear like a little girl kind of giggling, or like there was this one certain room where they felt kind of weird, and that's where they would hear a lot of like the giggling. And so somebody just happened to snap a picture towards the door where they thought they heard some footsteps. And so that picture came out, and you can actually see a little girl about 3-4 feet tall. Her whole silhouette is standing there in the doorway.
And she had the hospital gown on, right?
Yes.
The picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't have the picture no more, right?
No.
No, I know I lost it after
Yeah.
you sent it to me. My phone reset and it was gone forever.
And I kind of delete
Yeah.
a lot of my ghost pictures too.
Did you? And have you ever talked to them anymore? The people that work there?
No.
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 Wow, that's great. So, what do you have for us today? What ghost stories do you have?
So wow, so many. So the first story I have is a personal experience of mine, and it was when I first moved to Chicago, and I lived with my best friend, roommate, and we lived in an apartment in Oak Lawn. It was pretty much like 3 floors, but there were 6 units, and so we lived on the top floor, and it was a 2-bedroom. So when I first moved in, nothing out of the ordinary. It was just a very dark building in general. Like the hallways were kind of dark and older, but I didn't think anything of it. And so, right from the get go, I started getting sleep paralysis every single night.
Right.
Every night, I felt frozen. I couldn't move. I couldn't scream. It was so bad to the point that I would stay up until the sun came up and I refused to sleep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I would pretty much stay up all night. And then when it was time in the morning, I'd get up and go to work. But it was exhausting because I'd be tired.
Yeah.
And so there was this one night where it happened where some nights, I was like so tired, I just ended up falling asleep. And so, but every time when it happened, I knew I was not asleep. And this one particular time, I was getting held down or paralyzed, and I was looking towards my door, and I can see a lady, very typical, in white, and she came through my bedroom door, and she was floating towards me, and with her hands out, going towards my neck, like trying to push me down or hold me down.
Right.
And at that same time I saw the lady, I heard lots of little kids like just screaming and knocking at my bedroom door. And there's so much going on, and I was trying to break out of it. And I ended up telling my mom, and she told me, okay, this is what you do every time you're scared. You say a Buddhist prayer. And so you kind of pray to this lady Buddha, and she's the one who protects you. And so I recite the prayer after 3 times, it lets go.
Really?
Yes, every time.
Uh-huh.
And when I didn't do it before, it would just seem like it lasted for like an hour. But eventually it would let go. And eventually, every time it released, I got up and I ran to my roommate's room, and I would just pretty much stay awake with him the rest of the night. And so other weird things happen. Like back then, I didn't really think about all the coincidences, but
Yeah.
now that, you know, I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about paranormal and I can reflect upon it, like in the middle of winter, dead winter, I would get huge, giant flies. They look like horse flies. They were so big.
Yeah.
It would be stuck in my window between my screen and my glass window.
Really?
How would it get there, right?
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't open my window in the winter time.
Yeah.
And how would it get between the screen and the glass window? And why would there be flies in the middle of the winter?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, okay, you know, I just brushed that off. And we had a very angry older man that lived directly downstairs from us, and he lived with his elderly mom.
Uh-huh.
And it was just them two. He was already probably in his 60s, so his mom was pretty old as well. So he would always complain, like he hated us for some reason. We never did anything to him. He would always come up and complain and say, "You're so loud." He said, "Haven't you ever thought about taking off your shoes and wearing house slippers? I hear you walking around in your heels or boots all day long." And I'm like, first thought was, you know, I'm Asian. I take off my shoes when I get in the house.
Uh-huh.
So I said, I don't wear my shoes in the house. First of all, we
Right.
take off our shoes at the door, and I wear house slippers, or my roommate walks around barefoot. And then he was like, "Well, I would appreciate if you did. I hear it all day long." And then, you know, a couple years later, when I thought about it, I was like, but I'm not there during the day.
Yeah.
And so my roommate and I would always be at work during the day, and he did not work. I think he was retired. So I don't even know why he was hearing footsteps. So he's hearing phantom footsteps, and he said they were very loud and
Oh, wow.
clacking all over the floor. And so his mother eventually died, and then he ended up living there by himself. So with all the sleep paralysis going on, I couldn't take it. I really only stayed there maybe 4 months,
Oh, wow.
and I had to move out. I felt horrible that I was breaking the lease. I felt horrible I was leaving my best friend, but I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And so I moved out, and then my best friend got another roommate. And after I left, you know, I would still talk to them, and they would tell me things like my friend would say, you know, one night we just heard a loud crash in the kitchen, and it felt like a plate getting thrown into the sink and breaking. It was that loud. So they
Oh, wow.
both went out to the kitchen, nothing out of place. There was nothing broken. They couldn't find any source of whatever that loud noise was. And then he said the bathroom light and this faucet would go on in the middle of the night, and he'd have to go up and like turn it off. That didn't happen when I was there. And then he said eventually, sometime later that year, that police and ambulance came, and then they found out that the old man committed suicide downstairs. But he didn't have any family, he didn't have any friends, and so his body was just, I believe it was in the bathroom for like a week.
Oh, so it was
I think that whole building was just bad vibes.
bad
There
energy.
was, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so that was the apartment in Oak Lawn.
Oh, wow. That was a good one. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I thought I told you. I
No,
didn't remember
not
if I
that.
did. And that was the same time, around the time that Junior and I were dating. And
Mhm.
so I would try and get him to sleep over.
Yeah.
And I would actually call him at like 3 in the morning and say, "I just got sleep paralysis. Come over now." And he would actually come over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They what was I gonna say? Was it the dish one? I thought of one right now when you were saying something about
The broken dish.
Yeah, about the broken dishes. I'll remember before the end. And which other one do you have for us? And then I'll tell you one of mine.
So many. So, you know, I'm the youngest of 6 siblings,
Yeah.
and we pretty much, well, I grew up here, but I was born in Vietnam, but my siblings are a lot older than me. So they all pretty much grew up in Vietnam. And each and every one of them have a ghost story. If not, it's not just one, it's a lot of ghost stories that happened in Vietnam. So I just have, a lot of little mini ones that they've told all the time. And it's just commonplace for Vietnamese people to exchange ghost stories. And it's,
Do you think it's because of all the wars and stuff that happened in Vietnam? Like you just have a lot of
yeah,
ghosts and stuff like that?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that, all the years of the war and just people not being buried properly, and they're just roaming all over the place.
Right.
So it's commonplace for people just to tell ghost stories, and no one would look at you like you're crazy. Like
Yeah.
it was just normal conversation.
What was the one where your brother took a picture in the room?
Yes. So he went to Vietnam one year. He goes a lot. He was vacationing, and he was staying at one of my cousin's house. So we have a lot of relatives back there. And so he was alone, but he said that, the guest room he was staying in, he would hear footsteps and he would see shadows walking back and forth under his door. But he's not very scared. Like he's not one to get spooked easily.
Right.
So he didn't leave or anything. So he's just like, okay, whatever. Like he didn't really care. And then he happened to take a picture in the room, and he was taking a picture with one of his friends, and she's the neighbor. And in the background is the dresser mirror. And in that mirror, you can distinctly see such a clear picture of a teenage girl just in the mirror with her hand under her chin, kind of like posing with a little smile, like
With the
she was in the
picture?
picture.
No way.
Yeah. And it was so clear. And he had that picture up on Facebook when it happened. And then I think like maybe for like a year. And then I think he deleted it or took it down.
Yeah. That's
It was probably one of the best pictures I've seen of like
Yeah.
a ghost in the mirror.
someone showed me one the other day, the same thing. She her workplace.
Mhm.
She took a picture, and on the background you could literally, and this was an old picture, so it wasn't like Photoshop or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
You could clearly see what looks like it just looked weird, like a big head with like a lot of hair, but it looked crazy, like it didn't look normal.
Ooh,
No, that
that's
was
a
a
scary
spooky
one.
Yeah, she showed me that one.
Yeah. Oh, and so the background of this girl, he found out she used to live next door. She was a next door neighbor. A teenage girl committed suicide.
Oh
But
wow.
not in that house, but next door.
Oh wow. And then we have a little ghost walking over here. And then yeah, so the one, I think I've told you this one, but I wanted to share it for the podcast. It was the one with, so my parents used to have a restaurant, and I used to work there all the time. It was a little taco stand, and one of the guys that used to come in every Friday religiously was he was a groundskeeper for a cemetery. I think it was for Resurrection Cemetery, where Resurrection Mary and all that is from. So he used to come every Friday, and we'd see him. And for a while, he stopped coming. So my mom and me were like, hey, like, we haven't seen him in a while. But maybe he's on vacation, maybe he's in Mexico, like that. So one day, he finally shows up. And he tells us, and we're like, oh, hey, how are you? We haven't seen you in a while, this and that. He's like, yeah. He goes, I haven't been working. I got really sick. And we're like, what, are you okay? What happened? He goes, no, they scared me at work, and I got really sick, and I couldn't work for a while. I couldn't go to work. So we thought, he used to tell us stories about how during Halloween and all that other stuff, or grave robbers would jump the fence, or people would just jump the fence. People that were all drugged out would come to the graveyard. The cops would be in there sometimes, and sometimes we would get physical altercations with them. So we thought something like that had happened.
Right.
So then he starts telling me, he's like, yeah, he goes, it's not Coliseum. What is it called?
Mausoleum.
The mausoleum.
Mhm.
He goes, they have a big a 3-story mausoleum there. So he goes, at the end of the day, at the graveyards, they have to clear out the mausoleums and then lock them up.
Mhm.
So you start from the top floor and you walk you walk it down, and you walk down, and then you lock it up. So he says that he walks into the mausoleum on the third floor, and I guess in each corner of the mausoleum, there's a little bench for you to pray.
Mm-hmm.
So he says he's walking through the mausoleum, doesn't hear anything, turns the corner, and sees on one of the benches this lady kneeling there, all dressed in black, long dress. So he says, he walks up to her, he's like, "Excuse me, ma'am, but you have to finish up because we're closing the mausoleum for the night." And that she doesn't respond to him, and that he goes, "Excuse me," where he asks her again, and she doesn't respond, doesn't turn around, doesn't do anything. So when he starts telling her the third time, he says that she just starts screaming, just starts screaming, and that he starts freaking out. So he's like, "All right, it's fine." He goes, "I'll wait for you by the door."
Mm-hmm.
So he says that he kind of got freaked out a little bit. So he starts walking back. And in that mausoleum, by the door, there's a bench in each doorway.
Mm-hmm.
He says he gets to the doorway, he sits down on the bench. And when he sits down on the bench, the lady's already sitting next to him.
Oh my God.
So then he's like, now I'm really freaking out because I didn't hear her walk behind me.
Yeah.
She was still kneeling while I turned around, and I walked straight to the bench. So he says that he's sitting there and he doesn't want to look at her,
Right.
because he's kind of freaked out,
Right.
and he's waiting for her to say something, and that she goes to him, that she turns towards him and whispers in his ear, "I'm sorry." And then he goes, "Okay." He doesn't say anything, but then she says it again, "I'm sorry." And then he goes, but then she says it a third time. But the third time she says it, he's like, I could hear. He goes, it sounded like it was super hollow,
Mm-hmm.
and I could hear it through the whole hallway of the mausoleum.
Like
And
an
then
echo.
and then she goes, "I'm sorry."
That is like a straight up horror movie.
Yeah, and that he says that when she said that like he felt like his blood just drained, like he just dropped. He says he felt weak. He goes, and then she got up, and then he didn't even look, and then he doesn't know if she walked away. He doesn't know if she disappeared. He says he sat there for a while, caught his breath, turned off the lights, ran down the mausoleum, ran through all the floors, went downstairs. So there's another guy outside that works in the graveyard also, that's waiting for him. And the guy I guess sees that he's all pale, and he tells him, "Hey man, what's going on? What's wrong?" He goes, "Did you see the lady? Did you see the lady come out of the mausoleum? Because there's only one exit out of it at this time." And they're like, "No, nobody's been out here. There's no cars. I've been waiting for you for a while already out here." He tells the guy, he's like, "This is what just happened." The guy's like, I don't know what to tell you. There was nobody out here." So he says he couldn't go back to work. He's like, "I was freaked out." He goes, "I didn't feel well for a while, blood pressure, all this other stuff." So he ends up, so they end up hiring 2 more guys to take his position for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Says one of the guys was a young guy,
Mm-hmm.
runs out, never comes back, tells them, "I'm not working here.
Right.
Fuck this.
Right.
I don't want to work here." Says an older guy worked the same shift, did the same walk down. When the guy came to pick him up, the guy had soiled his pants and didn't want to talk about it, and was just like, I don't want to work here," and he left.
It's true.
And and they said that it went on for a couple of months, I guess, where nobody wanted to work it, and then he ended up going back. He's like, and we haven't seen anything ever since anymore. But whatever it was for that,
man.
yeah, and this was years ago, but yeah, after that he went back and worked. I'm not sure, maybe they didn't go alone anymore in there.
Yeah.
To do it,
Yeah.
but he did. That was the one.
You wouldn't pay me enough to take that kind of job.
Yeah.
And actually, I've seen a lot of belong to a paranormal Facebook group, and people tell stories of them working security in graveyards, and there's videos of one security, and he went into a mausoleum, and the lights were flickering. There were laughter, he was videotaping it.
I saw
and
that
he
one.
literally ran out of there, and there's this ongoing posts, and it's would you work the graveyard shift for $80 an hour? And everyone's like, heck no.
No, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're gonna have to see. Well, I guess you're gonna see something.
Oh yeah,
eventually,
for
or
sure.
feel something.
For sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of feel, I don't think I've told you this story that back in Vietnam, my oldest sister. So in Vietnam, you have to sleep with mosquito netting. Obviously, there's so many bugs. And so she used to sleep in the same bed with my older brother. And she said that one night, my brother was sleeping, she was still awake. She saw a hand, an actual adult sized hand, come out of nowhere and reach down towards the mosquito netting and like smushed it down, and it was going towards her face. And she was so scared, she went under the blankets and she just stayed there. And she didn't know what to do. She didn't want to get out, she didn't want to run. And all night she stayed awake under the blanket, but she had to go to the bathroom so bad she wouldn't go. So she just ended up urinating on herself. And that was how bad she was scared, because she refused to get out of bed.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Another one, my oldest brother, he said that, and this all happened at my grandfather's house in Vietnam, which is pretty much back then in like the 60s, 70s. There's no electricity. There was an outhouse and it's in the middle of the jungle.
Yeah.
And so at night it's pitch black and everyone was scared to go to the bathroom. Even my mom would say she did not go to the bathroom at night because it was scary.
Right.
You have to go out to the jungle, out to the outhouse.
Yeah.
And so my brother said one night he was sleeping in the living room area, and the windows in Vietnam are pretty much open. There's no screen, there's, no windows. And he said he can see the jungle from the window, and he sees a huge ball of light. It's coming closer and closer, and it looked like a huge fireball. It was coming closer and closer and closer out of the jungle towards the house and towards him. And he said that he ended up just running into his room or back to my parents' room or something. But he didn't really tell them about it because he didn't think they would do anything. But
yeah,
there's other stories that my mom tells me that it's common that people see light orbs in the jungle.
Mm-hmm.
And that everybody knows that you're not supposed to follow it. But some people who have followed the light orbs, they would end up coming back and they're blind. Blind.
Whoa.
Yeah. So a lot of light orbs in the jungle, and everyone says don't follow it because they say that spirit, they believe it's a spirit.
Right.
It'll make you blind or it will take you with it.
See, in Mexico, they say if you see an orb or you see that, you're supposed to follow it because it's going to take you the money.
Oh my God.
But maybe that's a rumor.
It's a trick.
That's a trick that the orbs put out there for
It's the evil leprechaun.
for people to follow them. Yeah, that's a big thing in Mexico.
Never heard that.
Yeah, like wherever you see flames or you see orbs or stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
that's supposed to be where there's money hidden. Because in Mexico, there was a time when the revolution and all that other stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and people, they would pay in coins and silver and gold.
Right.
And so people wouldn't get robbed. They would hide their money in different parts of their land, or,
Mhm.
bury it.
Very good.
Yeah, so a lot of people say that if you see the orb or you see fire, that's where that money's at. And they say, though, that the only people that could get the money are the people that actually see the orb, because not everybody's going to see it.
Oh.
Yeah, and that money is meant for you because they let you know where it's at, or they showed you where it's at. So that's in Mexico, that one's a popular one.
We need first-hand account of somebody who's found.
And then the weird part, the funny part about that is that there's people that they say have found money, but a lot of people don't say that they find money.
Oh.
Because
they want to hide that.
Yeah, because I know a couple of people that in Mexico that are rumored to have found money,
but they won't admit it.
Yeah, like all of a sudden they come in with they're doing really well for themselves, but the rumor is that they found like gold or something somewhere. So
it's interesting.
I think that one's pretty hard. I think you would have to have someone that's really open about it,
right,
to tell you like, yeah, I found a pot of gold.
Yeah. So I know there's another story that I don't think I told you about my sister. My sister, the oldest one, she lives in California. So when she first moved over there, she lived in Mountain View, and they were renting a house, her and her husband, and um, everything was normal. But they had a dog named Chico, and Chico, for some reason, refused to go into their master bedroom, into the main bedroom. He went everywhere else in the house. He stood at the threshold of their doorway and would just look into their bedroom, but refused to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so my sister, one night she was sleeping and they would hear whistling out their window at night. And they thought that was strange. They would look out, no one's out there. Their neighbors weren't outside or anything. No one was outside. And the whistling soon turned into screaming. So then later, along the year, they would hear screaming coming, which they thought was from outside. They didn't really know where it was coming from. And they would try and look. No one was outside. So I think there were some other odd things that went on in the house, but long story short, they didn't know until they moved out of the house or they talked to one of the neighbors, and actually a murder-suicide happened at that house, and it happened in their bedroom.
In their bedroom.
Yes, the husband shot the wife. I believe it was in the closet or something. It was in the bedroom, and then he killed himself.
Oh wow.
In their bedroom. Yeah. So.
But they don't live there no more, right?
No.
No.
It was a rental, so I think they only
Yeah.
stayed for like a year. And
So, which out of all the ones that you have, which is the scariest one you want to finish up with?
the scariest.
The one that you think keep people up at night.
Maybe. Gosh, I don't know. They're all kind of like. To me, since it's secondhand account, like to my siblings,
Right.
and to me it's scary, but not like, oh my gosh, scary. But we did have a recent scare.
Did you?
Yeah. So we went to Philadelphia
Okay.
and we toured Eastern State Penitentiary, that like really old jail.
Yeah.
And it was on a lot of like ghost shows and whatever. But so we went there probably last fall, and we were on the second floor of the cell block. I don't remember which one it was. But we're walking around. I was taking pictures, and all of a sudden, Nadia said she felt like she was going to faint. This came out of nowhere. She was completely fine. Like, we were there for an hour, walking everywhere. And
Yeah.
it was just this particular part where we're on the second floor. We're about to go downstairs. And she felt like she turned around. And I was actually videotaping. And then she turned around and she told me that she felt dizzy and she felt like she was going to faint. So we had to hurry up and get her downstairs and, make sure she was okay and give her some water. And as soon as we landed on the first floor, she said she felt better. Yeah. So
She picked up all that energy from.
I don't know, maybe that was kind of odd. So I haven't had any experiences like that happen to me, and it's weird that Nadia has. Another time we were walking around Chicago, where the Oprah Winfrey studio is at?
Yeah.
We had just eaten dinner. We were walking around, and it was at nighttime, and I was next to her, and Junior was ahead of us, and he was holding Cristiano. No one else was like walking around us on the sidewalk. And all of a sudden she goes, "Did you just touch my butt?" I said, "No, my hand's right here." And we had distance between us. And I was like, "No, I didn't touch you." And she's like, "No, I literally felt like a hand like swipe the side of her thigh." And then I said, "It wasn't me." And I said, "But you know what? We are in the area where remember back in the day where what was that boat? It sank in the Chicago River, and all the people died. And
Oh,
so
yeah. I know what you're talking about, but I don't
yeah,
remember.
so they had to use, warehouses and like the factories around that area as like morgues.
Yeah.
So they were like makeshift morgues. And I told her that story. I said, maybe a ghost patted your butt. I don't know.
Yeah.
So she's the one that's kind of like had like
experiences,
but she's not really into that stuff. But
no. Yeah, I spoke to my cousin. He was like, because he doesn't believe in ghosts, but I'm more than sure he's scared of the dark. And he's a grown man, so he must believe in something. But he always says, he's like, yeah, if you don't believe in it, you're never gonna see it because you're not open to it. But then, I'm only sure there's people that they don't believe in it, but stuff happens to them. They just don't want to explain it as that.
Right. So they just try and explain it away.
Did I tell you my Mexico one from this time when I went to Mexico? When I saw the ghost?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll close with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're staying at an old hacienda. So it was an old hacienda that was refurbished. So I found something out after I told you guys that story.
Mm-hmm.
So each room used to be a utility room, a stable, storage room, all this other stuff. So in that hacienda, down from where our room was at, there was a room. It was called the Virgin's Room.
Mm-hmm.
So what it was is back then it used to be a lot of men. It was like big plantations or stuff like that. So it was a lot of men that were working there, and there wasn't that many women. They would work on the thing. So the young girls, they would put them all in that one room to sleep, and they would have a guard outside the door. That way, none of the men would try to rape the young girls, the virgins.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so in our room, the one we were staying at, it was a big living room, and then the big bedroom with the bed, and then just the washroom. So, and then the windows were like how you say, there was no windows. It's just shutters, and then you're outside.
Right.
But they had like a bug screen
Mm-hmm.
on them. So the night we get there, the big storm comes in. We all go to our rooms because it's raining, it's lightning, and this is like up in the mountains. This hacienda. So lightning hits, I guess, the hacienda, the generators or whatever. The lights go out, it's pitch black. Each room when we got there had these little tea candles.
Mm-hmm.
So we turned those on, went to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway through the night, like around 3:30, 4 in the morning, I wake up and it's pitch black. And it's like black to where I can't tell if my eyes are open or closed.
So the candle burned out.
Yeah, and the candle burned up. Yeah. So I'm laying there. My girl at the time's there, and she's we're sleeping, and she's like, "Are you awake?" And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I can't go back to sleep." And she's like, "I can't go back to sleep." I'm like, "I can't either. It's too dark." So I'm like, "Well, let me open up the windows." So I open up the window to my left, the living room, the living room window. I open it up so you see the light coming in from the living room, and then but it was still dark in the room. So in front of the bed there was the big shutters also. So I opened those up, and so we have light.
Mm-hmm.
So you can hear everything that's going on outside, like because it's pitch black. It's in the middle of nowhere. So all you hear is all these animals. It sounds like we're in a jungle somewhere.
Oh.
So it's pretty cool. But you hear footsteps outside, but we wouldn't hear anybody talking.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, we hear footsteps getting closer and closer, like on the outside, and we see a big, dark silhouette of a man pass by the window. And at this time, we're not talking anything. We're just laying in bed, like, listening to everything. And I see him, and then she's like, "Did you see it? Did you see him? Did you see him?" I'm like, "Yeah, I saw him." I'm like, "Be quiet. Let's see if he just keeps walking."
Mm-hmm.
And I can hear him walk, and I'm listening to him walk. And then I hear like the steps go away when he gets to by the second window. And I turn to look by the second window, and I see a silhouette walk through the window.
Oh.
Because the windows are big. They're like big doors.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking, like, did this guy just walk into our room? But I'm like, but the screen is there.
Yeah.
And I see like a silhouette kind of like walking through that living room.
Yeah.
And like just disappear into the darkness of the corner of our room where it's pitch black. So, but it was just weird because it looked like a shadow. I can't explain it, but it was a silhouette. It was like just a dark silhouette. There was no features to it.
That is so weird.
Yeah. So then I was laying there, and then I grabbed my phone, and my phone was almost gonna die also.
Oh,
So-
great.
yeah, so I was like,
We're just out of luck all night.
yeah. So I'm like, man, so I turn on the flashlight and I look in the room, and then she's like, well, she goes, what happened? I go, I thought I heard a bug. And I didn't see anything. And I'm like, but I wasn't scared. And you know how they say if you feel scared that it's a bad spirit, and if you see anything or hear anything, but you don't feel scared, it's not supposed to be anything bad.
Mhm.
So I didn't feel scared, so I didn't think nothing of it.
Right.
But yeah, so all that happened. The next night I went. I went to the front desk and I got bigger candles. And I told him, man, give me the biggest candles you have. So before I went to bed, I turned those on. I'm like, if the lights go out in the middle of the night, at least the candles will be burning. So that was it. I told everybody afterwards. I didn't tell nobody when it happened, but after we left and everything else, I told everybody about it because I didn't want to freak nobody out because it was a big wedding party
Yeah.
that was all staying in that hacienda.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to scare nobody. So then I finally tell Christian, Natty's husband, that was the wedding I went to. I tell him, like, hey man, I start telling him the story. He ends up telling us that the room where we were at,
Yeah.
so our room was, it was down the way from the virgin's room.
Mhm.
The room where we were at, if guys were accused of raping women, that's where they would hold up. That's where they would hold them up in that room, and eventually that's where they might have killed them.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so then I was just like, bro, like, so you put us in the
And
room.
no one gave you fair
Yeah,
warning.
nobody told us this. And then I was like, you know what? I'm glad I got there late and didn't take the tour because I wouldn't have been able to sleep, especially after seeing what I saw.
Yeah.
So that was,
So you think they talked about it on the tour?
I don't know. So now I guess he started telling people what I saw, and now everybody wants to know. So I'm gonna eventually talk to everybody that did take the tour
Yeah.
and see what they say.
They were told.
Yeah, see what they told.
You should have asked like the front desk staff or like people there.
I was
about it.
I was
I'm sure they
curious. I wanted
know.
to ask them.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, like they're gonna look at me like a kook. You know what I mean? But I should have. I regret not doing it. I might just call them one day, just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they know. I'm
Yeah,
sure a
right?
lot of guests have told them.
I'm more than sure too. Yeah, I want to go back though. It was a nice hacienda. I don't know if I'd seen that same room though.
No.
No, right?
I'm pretty sure probably that whole place is haunted
Yeah, right.
for being how old it is.
It was old. It was nice. It was refurbished.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
Yeah.
Sam, thank you for stopping by,
No problem. Thanks for having me.
and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.